Okay, so part 2 on the series on negotiation. The first section, if you had just watched it, was really about setting the premise, which is that an important aspect of negotiation is that you avoid opposition for as long as possible, and also that as a result of that, you avoid any doubt about you being the right fit for this. And the thing that gets in the way is very often what I call emotional contamination, which is arising emotions that actually just kind of like flood and create some sort of like out of resonance feelings once you start talking about commercials, and really about by commercials I mean like money and kind of some of the finer aspects of like the position and the benefits. And the thing is that also what I mentioned in the previous video is most people don't spend a lot of time around people who do a lot of negotiation and do it very well, and also don't do a lot of it themselves. So if negotiating isn't part of your job and you don't spend time around people who are effective at doing it, the notion that being like really emotional or activated or passionate like in a very frontal way is actually part of being an effective negotiator is actually, by my estimation, a miscalculation. Because the effective negotiators are boring. They're dispassionate, they're focused, they're confident, and they have low shame about what they want. And so folks who tend to do less negotiation tend to be emotionally activated, lacking focus, lacking confidence, and tend to be like bashful or even defensive about what they want. So what I'm talking about here for this video, and this is less structured in terms of being like, here's what it is, and let's talk a little bit about it, and then here's a practice around it. I actually really want to dedicate this specific time to convincing you that this is actually an issue, because I don't know that everyone fully understands what happens and actually what is being perceived by the other party when people are getting upset, because I think there's a tendency for people to feel really justified in their emotions. So the fact that they're expressing them tends to not be something that they understand the actual negative impact on the power of what they can actually get done in the discussion. So one practice with this, and actually the example that I use in the book was that I learned this principle by actually witnessing somebody do it who worked for me. I had previously been one of those jittery, nervous negotiators that just kind of prayed for the best and kind of made my case in a kind of janky way and tried to be like charming, and wound up awkward and then offended or whatever, and that it was just kind of like a snow globe of feelings and emotions. And I had someone come into my office and they sat down, they said, hey, I've been with the company for a year, I've met and exceeded all my goals, and would it be fair for us to have a discussion about a salary increase? When would be a good time for us to discuss this? And I remember being just blown back by this. It was just so extraordinary to me. And honestly, I was a little offended because they were better at this than I was. I mean, it was actually kind of a little bit confronting, because I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually like incredibly effective. And so, so the point that I make with this, and this is like, I get that this might be a little bit of a ramble, but I just wanted to get this video out as a follow-up from the previous one, is to really understand that to get the tone right, it's a really important factor to understand really like what naturally arises if one is not really paying attention to the tone. In terms of body language, and even just like how how people say things, and even the words that they choose. So for a practice actually that is helpful, as far as as getting sort of emotionally charged or activated or defensive or whatever is going to arise when it comes to the point of actually having this discussion, is to first of all, like to really ground yourself with the knowledge of, no matter what happens here in this negotiation, no matter what happens with this offer, these are the things that really matter to me that don't change. This is something that helps with all kinds of things when you're going and taking big risks and doing high stakes stuff, going into big meetings, getting, like, you name it, is to say, these are the people that matter to me, that will be healthy, that will love me. This is like the thing, my stability is not going to be affected by this. And to really tie yourself into the fact that if you do not, ultimately like triumph in the given situation, that, things that really matter about your life remain stable and strong. And in fact, those are the people, that's usually people, and can be things even about like finances or whatever, situational or whatever, even inventory about like my intellect isn't impacted, my like whatever, like, but oftentimes I've encouraged people to write those things down, like write those 3 things down, be like, these are the things that will, be here for me, that are not going to be affected by what happens here. And then on the other hand is the aspiration of being able to be brave enough to dream of an outcome that's beyond your wildest expectations. And this is one of the things that's, really navigating a particularly sophisticated nuance, which is wanting something like and approaching it with your absolute best and your absolute like full intensity, and also being able to accept the fact that it may not work out in your favor. And this is something I get that some people may not really like grab onto this notion. But it is kind of this emergent property that happens when you can actually be unattached to something but fully also invested in it, that tends to reveal some pretty astonishing outcomes. So, I mean, it's something even like, being in deals, when I'm talking about like working in a commercial sense, where you don't have the sense of even desperation, but you have the sense of passion. You have the sense of like being really, really motivated and excited and wanting to work hard. So, I kind of, I apply that to, almost everything that, in this, but, to the point of like, there's a grounding factor, which is like spending time in nature. Anything in the techniques and exercises for the first hub is particularly strong here. And finding, finding practices like sanctuary and grounding, nature, and then also the emotional literacy in chapter 2, or actually rather chapter 6, that's the second hub. And really coming into naming the feelings that you're having that are arising, and by naming them, being able to kind of like actually like see them, understand them, and have compassion and build capacity for them. And so I think that the big part of like a big part of entering a negotiation, it really, this importance of these underlying factors, as much as tactics are absolutely important, and we're going to get into them in the next videos. It's this underlying aspect of, nervous system activation. First of all, to understand why, of course, this is going to happen. This is you're negotiating for things that are going to impact your life in material ways for, a good amount of time. And discussions that are, can feel like they're talking about your like personal worth, and also having, entering into the, into the place where you're actually being, having to face the bravery of wanting what you want unapologetically. These are things that are, really like hard challenging places to occupy. So understanding that like a negotiation kind of like pushes you right into it. So you're dealing with all this stuff all at once. So first of all, like have compassion for this, and understand that like almost nobody who doesn't do it for a job is good at it. So, but you can be like, this is, we're going to work on this. And, and yeah, I mean, in the next 3 videos, I'm going to talk more about understanding what the other party wants. And after that, we're going to talk really like about knowing your worth and some of the nuance within that, and then avoid like reducing or eliminating shame about wanting what you want. So yeah, I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how effective I was in my initial intent here, but after doing the first video, I really wanted to get this out. And if you liked it, please like it. Every time I see a like, I must admit, it just sparks some joy in my heart. And if please subscribe if you would like to see, the videos that are coming up, and also encourage the work here. And as far as the book is concerned, I'm going to try to add some page numbers into the notes here, but please send me any comments or notes that you have about like things that you think I've missed, or maybe something that like resonates with you that you want to like emphasize. But I really thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that this sparks some thought and is helpful in any way. All right, bye.